January the 27th, 2016. As you know, in January 2013, a Lowndes County High School student, Kendrick Johnsn, was found dead in the old gymnasium. The mother and father have been on a crusade seeking justice for their deceased son. And today, we can see from this sign across the street that they are still on the case. You may ask a question. Why do they keep doing this? Why don't they just give up and move on, you may ask? Well, that's a good question. Let's look back down the annals of history. In May of 1918, 12 to 15 blacks was murdered in Brooks and Lowndes County, Georgia, and the black community just moved on. From 1994 to 2009, 34 jail inmates has been reported in the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail as being now dead for whatever reason. And the people of Valdosta, Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, and the United States of America, they just moved on. And from 2009 to 2016, the people in Valdosta, Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, and in the United States of America don't have a record at all. They do not have a record at all in terms of how many people have died here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia. And it seems as if though the Georgia General Assembly and our elected officials does not even have a law wherein jails and prisons report how many of our sons and daughters die while in the hands of law enforcement, many of whom are retired, disabled, and active duty military personnel. And so, unlike Jacqueline and Kenneth, about their son that were found dead from falling into a mat at Lowndes County, unlike them, we just move on. We just forget about it. As if though human life is not important here in America. Wait a minute. I haven't finished yet. When we listen to the excuses given by Miss Presley at the HUD office in Atlanta about answering the impediments about the CDBG grants and how those federal dollars are spent here in Valdosta, which were designed for low-income communities, we don't get an answer. And so the pastors, the bishops, and religious leaders and followers here in Valdosta, they just move on. It doesn't matter to them. To people who are employed at these various school systems, and they call the NAACP, and has been doing that for decades, about unfair terminations. And when they file EEOC complaints, nothing happens. Many of them sit back and say to themselves, what's going on here? Some of them have come to me. I've helped them draft letters to fight the system, but eventually they give up because they say the judicial system here in Valdosta is for the ran by the good old boys. And so we just move on. But aren't you proud that the parent of Kendrick Johnsn didn't just move on? Because in the final analysis, that could happen to your son. So thank God that they didn't just move on. You know, by the way, they were denied the very right to ID the body of their sons after he was found dead. Wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. I was stationed here from 1975 to 1979. And then I left, went to other assignments, and came back to Valdosta Federal Installation, just a few miles away from here, Moody Air Force Base. And I served the second tour here. And I retired here in January of '91. And I had never been placed under a criminal trespass until after the death of Kendrick Johnsn. As you know, I walked with the investigators all down Weisenbaker Lane. I walked with the investigators all on Oak Street back over in that area. But the sheriff department chose to put me, after the death of Kendrick Johnsn, under a criminal trespass for not violating the law. Let me repeat. They put me under a criminal trespass for not violating the law. I served this country for 21 years. And they did this to me. And if they did this to me, following the death of Kendrick Johnsn, then they can do this to you. And no government agency in Valdosta, Lowndes County, Atlanta, the state of Georgia, or at the federal level, including Eric Holder, would even come to address a retired military veteran that had been made a scapegoat, apparently, for reasons yet to be determined. And so today, I have been under this criminal trespass for 2 years and 8 months without violating any law. Now, what am I saying short form? What am I saying in truth? I'm saying to you, the people in Valdosta, Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, and across the United States of America, and others who may come here to visit this place, that you can be traveling on a public highway and a Lowndes County Sheriff deputy can pull you over and say you are under a criminal trespass and you haven't violated any law. Wait a minute. If you are going to school at Georgia Military College, Valdosta State University, or playing golf at Kenaloo Golf Course, or going out to Francis Lake Resort, or go down to Mission Lake, or go down to Grassy Pond, or if you go down out to Wild Adventures Theme Park, or if you go to Wiregrass Technical College, they can put you under a criminal trespass for 2 years and 8 months like me, and they don't have to tell you a damn thing. And yet the leaders, let me repeat, the leaders here in the United States of America don't care enough about their image around that's being seen around the world. Now look, I served during the Vietnam era, yet only to return back home to Georgia and be put under a criminal trespass without justification or notification. Look, I have gone to the Sheriff Department, probate, Superior Court, including District Attorney David Miller's office, federal courts, gone to the Department of Justice in Atlanta. to the federal level. And do you not know that it seemed as if though the old 1860 Dred Scott decision, which said no black man had any rights that a white man had to respect, this is what they're proving today. And so, I guess, do you want me to move on too? I cannot move on. The reason I cannot move on, because I love white people too much. And I know what can happen to you white people. The same thing that happened to this black man will soon be happening to your children and coming generations unless something is done about it. First, it's the black man, but soon it will be upon every man in the land. Let me say this to you. Let me repeat. Let me say this to you. Even more sickening than my criminal trespass is the fact that the Valdosta Daily Times, under Kay Harris at the time, would not even interview me to let the general public know that the Lowndes County Sheriff Department, following the death of Kendrick Johnsn, put me under this criminal trespass for nothing, apparently, except maybe to not report the news or report maybe what the children would say. Or maybe even more embarrassing than that is CBS News would not report this story. ABC would not report this story. NBC would not report this story. CNN would not report about my criminal trespass. 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, Dateline, Al Jazeera. Nobody seemed interested in citizenship rights here in the state of Georgia, and it is indeed being seen in Canada and around the world. And so we as Americans must ask ourselves a very important question. Why do we send our sons and our daughters in foreign nations of the world to fight for freedom, justice, and equality for foreigners while our rights are eroding right before our eyes, and we are leaving for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and coming generations a nation that seems to be about one thing, but it's about another. And so if the news media, and they did not report about my criminal trespass, nor did they report about the 14-year-old girl that was hogtied at Lowndes County Middle School in Pine Grove Middle School. They wouldn't even report that at all to the parents who had children attending that Lowndes County school system. And yet we go fight these wars as I did, and then they will tell you that they love our military veterans and our active duty and our disabled and our retired military veterans. You can say that from your lips, but from your hips, you are saying and sending a different message. And because the social media now, they are reporting what our control dictated to news media will not report, the people are becoming more educated, and they are making decisions now that will definitely impact whether the American people will really support a war in the name of this country, freedom, justice, and equality, when it is being proven each and every day that we are losing our rights and nobody are willing to stand up. They will tell you, just move on. They want you to move on. During the days of slavery, they wanted us to just move on. Why, they even gave us a white Jesus. And in our churches, even until this day, we hung the picture or displayed the picture of a white Jesus, knowing all the time that Jesus had to be of a darker hue. This white people already knew. We were the ones who didn't know our own history. But today, through some magnificent, holy, divine instruction from God, wherein he said in St. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. And this is what we are witnessing today. Don't look down on Kenneth and Jacqueline for standing up for their loved one that was found dead in the Lowndes County gymnasium. Don't look down on them. Look down on the many other mothers and fathers who had children and loved ones to die for whatever reason in the Valdosta and Lowndes County jail. But they sat and they did nothing. Many of them came to me. Many of them went to the NAACP, the SCLC, and other organizations. But they didn't do what Kenneth and Jacqueline are doing. And we know they're being criticized. Every leader that ever came to this country who stood up for what was right was criticized, called a lot of ugly and dirty names. Just like I was called a nigger on February the 6th, 2015 of last year. And I wear that badge as a badge of honor. Yes, let me repeat. I wear that as a badge of honor because if you research the meaning, the real meaning of a nigger, according to the ancient Egyptians, see what nigger really meant. And somewhere, when they started calling us a nigger, they knew the real meaning of that word in the beginning before they associated with something ugly. But just remember, regardless of what they say or do, just remember that God said heaven and earth would pass away, but the truth will live forever. And that's what we are seeing today. We are seeing everything that the wicked people have done, black and white, German, Japanese, whatever. You are seeing it all coming out now. The world and some of their own children of all haters and wicked people is coming out now. And some of their own grandchildren are condemning them because they were on the wrong side of history. Kenneth, Jacqueline and the Tudor family and others, I want to say to you, keep doing what you're doing because what you're doing is much bigger than you. And I want to thank you. You might not have been on the stage for Martin Luther King's service, but you deserve to be there because you are indeed living the dream of those freedom fighters of yesterday. And without people like you all, our children will regress back to the days of Jim Crow. Once again, the Ghetto Free Press, January 27, 2016, the voice of the people. Now run and tell that.
But, yeah, the only people I submit to you who will never take the Johnson's name in free way is going to be his mom and dad. And we cannot have that. As I get ready to have this mother and this father speak to you as only they can, I want you to really think about it's not just Valdosta. This is an American issue. Come on now. And the right for court is in question. When you think about Marlon Brown and his children, they got video where the police ran him over, and then the court inquest said that wasn't homicide. You know, we gotta be able to present to America that everybody can have confidence in our justice system. Really, it is like Justice Thurgood Marshall said, that the basis of the American Constitution is simply this, brothers and sisters, that a black baby born to a black mother, the poorest black mother, the most inarticulate black mother, the most uneducated black mother, has the same exact rights as a white baby born to a white mother. All right. The most educated white mother, the most articulate white mother, the most affluent white mother, just by virtue of that baby being born in America. Now, Justice Marshall concluded that he know that's not the case in America, but he challenged anybody to say that's not a goal worth fighting for. He challenged anybody to say that's not what makes America the great beacon of hope and justice for all the world to marvel. So when we stand up for justice for Kendrick Lamar Johnsn, what we're really doing is helping America live up to its creed of being the great beacon of hope and justice, for being where she purports to be. America for you and America for me. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, I want you to give just a thunderous amount of applause as Jacqueline and Kenneth Johnsn come to the podium, and I want you to say the question that they have been saying for 300 days now, for 11 months. We want you to say it so loud that the governor will hear it. Who killed KJ? 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 Come on. Who killed KJ? Who killed KJ? Thank you. KJ. All right.
Today makes 11 months my son was found at Lowndes High School, rolled up in a mat. I was at that school the day they found my son. They treated us like nobody from day one. They're still treating us like nobody. But we declare that we're here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. They want us to leave, and when we leave, it's going to be when they give us justice for my son.
Amen.
We want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting our family. But I want to know, they are known to use us and tear down our character. But Kendrick, that they can't do.
Amen.
Kendrick was at school where he was supposed to be.
Amen.
And out of 3,000 students, plus teachers, plus a school with resource officers at the school.
Yes.
How in the world can a student go missing during school and be murdered at school?
My mind.
As you all know, his organs was missing. But let me tell you a little bit about that.
Tell.
It's from the top of his head to his pelvis was missing. Yeah, the brain, his windpipe, his tongue, his heart, and everything else inside of his body was missing.
My Lord.
So I want the justice system to tell me, how is it that all of that is going on with his body, someone is not charged with something?
Amen. Yeah. Say it, Mike. And fingernails.
It can't be.
My God. Cannot be.
You mean to tell me, from the time he was last seen on that surveillance camera, within 15 or 20 minutes, he gonna cut off all of his fingernails till they start to bleed. He gonna scroll his photos around the gym. He gonna throw the shoe over inside the mat and say, I think I'll go over there and get it now. So how does one shoe inside the mat and the other one's away from the mat? And then he gets inside the mat, gets stuck, and then I guess the pair of shoes that he had on his feet, he kicks them off.
Makes no sense.
How can that be?
Like it's a lie.
It's a lie.
And other than that, the clothes that he had, what he dressed out in, how's the data missing? From the clothes he had on, from when they took him to make him to the crime lab, how come that they are missing? So out of all this stuff that's going on, why isn't someone arrested for something?
Amen. How long?